Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Genshin Impact character review series, where we take a look at each character in the game, and we review them, and I give my opinions on them. Today's subject is Chongyun, a Cryo Claymore character that is a bit weird, I would have to say. To say that he's very easy to fit in team comps isn't the most truest of statements, but in general, and as a first opinion, Chongyun is really good. I really like him. I really like his abilities. But let's get into Chongyun's kit, and check out what he does and what he can do in a team. So, starting off with Chongyun's auto attacks, they're pretty fine. He's a Claymore user. He does attack a bit slower than other weapon types, but pretty normal, like a 4-5 auto attack chain, and his charge attack is a spin. He is in that category of Claymore characters that spin on their charge attacks. But yeah, nothing really to note on his attacks. Then we move on to Chongyun's skill, elemental skill, which is this field that he creates after he slams his Claymore on the ground. So he slams his Claymore on the ground, deals some cryo damage, and then he forms this field which infuses Claymore, Sword, and Polearm characters as weapons with cryo. So any hits, any normal attacks or charge attacks you'll be dealing while inside this field, it's gonna be cryo damage. So this field is really nice. Through Ascension Talents, this also gives you an attack speed bonus, which is very rare in Genshin Impact, so it's very welcome. And the second Ascension Talent does give you a bit of extra damage and cryo application, because when the duration of the skill ends, a cryo sword thing will fall from the ground and strike enemies and deal a really good amount of... It will deal the first instance of damage that the skill did when Chongyun slams the ground. It will deal that damage again as a sword and again apply cryo. So it's really nice because the field does have an infusion duration. Once a character is on the field, they will be infused for a certain duration, apparently, although I've seen the field just have sort of an infinite infuse duration sometimes, because if you go into the skills talent like details, you'll see infusion duration, and you'll be like, okay, but then you use the skill, and I seriously, sometimes I feel like the skill just infuses indefinitely without me switching characters, because where the infusion starts when a character like goes into the ice field. So if you switch characters back and forth, you do sort of reset the duration of the infusion, but again, I've seen it like carry on for too long even without switching, so I don't know, it's a bit of a weird thing. But again, infuses weapons with cryo, and yeah, I mean, it's really good, but you should be careful with who you pair this skill with, because it does convert damage into cryo, so a non-cryo character might not really benefit from the cryo infusion. Someone like a pyro character can work, so Diluc, Hu Tao, not really, but because again, someone like Diluc will be dealing cryo damage through his hits, and then you'll be using your E, and you'll be dealing melt. You'll be causing melt and be dealing a good amount of damage. So yeah, again, be a bit careful with who you pair this up with. You can pair it with Hydro characters like Xingqiu to just go on a permafreeze combination, because your attacks are dealing cryo. Xingqiu's swords, the rain swords, are causing Hydro, so the enemy just can't move at all. So yeah, again, Chongyun can go on many team comps, so do take a look at the characters you have and see and visualize how Chongyun will work and why do you need that cryo infusion on your party, because that is Chongyun's main thing, the cryo infusion, really. And yeah, again, pair him with cryo characters as well, because he does work very well with cryo characters. Someone like Kaeya a sort of cryo DPS Kaeya will really love Chongyun to just constantly be dealing cryo damage. So yeah, the skill is just really, really good. It is the main part of Chongyun and the most notable thing about him. But he has a burst, so let's move on to his burst. See, his burst is this like three swords that fall from the like air from the sky. These cryo swords deal a good amount of damage. They have good scaling, and yeah, it's a good ult that deals a nice amount of cryo damage and applies cryo. Nothing really fantastic to say. It does have a low energy cost, so you will be spamming this quite a lot actually. So yeah, again, good damage plus cryo, very nice. But yeah, so what roles does Chongyun fit in? A lot of people do put him as a main and sub DPS, and indeed, he can easily work as that because he just allows you to deal so much cryo damage through his elemental skill. Although he is a Claymore user, as we said, and he does attack a bit slower, so not the best, but not the worst. Like, again, can work as a main DPS, can work as a sub DPS. But I think that as a cryo enabler, a cryo support, I think he works perfectly fine as well. Again, his support to constantly keep cryo on someone like a Kaeya, and not necessarily like the upcoming Ayaka, but other cryo characters. Heck, you can even build a cryo damage Chi-Chi if you want. You can easily do that with Chongyun, so why not? And if you give Chongyun some sort of energy recharge weapon like a Favonius Greatsword, he can easily work as a battery for other cryo members. His ult again is very spammable, his E is basically almost 100% uptime and has a pretty low cooldown anyway, so again, it's really good. They can really work as a battery if you wish. But yeah, Chongyun can easily fulfill a lot of roles. Use him as a main cryo DPS, very much can work. Use him as a cryo sub DPS, can work. I mean, main sub DPS really is sort of the same for Chongyun. And then you can easily use him as a support to just use cryo. Something of note, which I should be putting right now as background footage, is that Chongyun is the best character against Abyss Heralds and Abyss Lectors. So the thing about Abyss Lectors and Heralds is that their shield has a bit of a buffer where it won't take damage from the same source of damage or of an element if that damage comes too quickly. But with Chongyun, what you can do is that you can throw down your field and then constantly switch between characters. You're always gonna be infusing them with cryo because they're gonna be re-entering the cryo field, and get infused. And then if you're using polearm and sword characters which attack quickly, you'll be you'd sort of get the timing on the character switch cooldown. You'll be constantly freezing and be constantly dealing cryo damage to an Abyss Herald and Abyss Lectors, and because you're dealing cryo damage through a different source every time, you skip that damage buffer that exists, and you're just shredding through these enemies' shield. Because I've seen someone like a Kaeya or other characters just not deal damage. Even with Chongyun, if you throw down a field and then you start attacking with one character only, at some point the thing just won't be dealing damage for some reason. The shield won't be taking damage, and it's really strange. So yeah, and then I actually discovered this completely randomly because I was just spamming the switch button or something, and then I noticed, hey, I'm dealing a lot of damage to the shield. And then I did it more methodically of switching between characters and hitting once, and then I saw, oh, I'm destroying the heralds in 10 seconds. And not only that, if you're using a non-Claymore character with this ability and with freezing the Abyss Herald, the guy isn't gonna move. He just has no space to move, no time, no downtime on the cryo application to move anyway, so he's just perma-frozen. And yeah, and because Chongyun's field has basically the same duration as his cooldown is like really low cooldown on the skill, it's again 100% uptime, and it just shreds the Abyss enemy's shield. So yeah, if you are having a bit of trouble in the Abyss, then Chongyun will definitely help you get some good times against those Abyss Heralds and Abyss Lectors. So yeah, as for artifact sets, Chongyun is a bit weird because you really don't know what to put on him. You 100% need a 2-piece Blizzard Strayer set. The 2-piece cryo damage bonus is of course what you need because Chongyun is all about cryo damage. What can you do? But you can also go, if you're using him as a main DPS or sub DPS, you can use a 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set to get that extra crit rate off of cryo affected enemies. So if you're using as a main DPS, 4-piece Blizzard Strayer is definitely good. But if you're using 2-piece Blizzard Strayer and you have good crit rate, you can go for something like a 2-piece Gladiator's Finale or the new Inazuma set that also has that 18% attack. So you can use that 2-piece Gladiator set. Or perhaps you can use that 4-piece new set of the Inazuma, which gives you 18% attack bonus, as we said, on the 2-piece bonus. And then for the 4-piece, the 4-piece makes it so whenever you activate your elemental skill and you have at least 15 energy, you will lose that 15 energy, and then you'll boost your normal and charge attacks by like 50%. So this could become a good set for a main DPS Chongyun. You know, because that 50% extra damage on your normal attacks, I think it does sort of like, you know, it is more damage than the 2-piece Blizzard cryo damage bonus. So it might become a new build. But yeah, like 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece Gladiator for that 18% attack. You can go for a 2-piece Blizzard Strayer set and a 2-piece Noblesse set. Because again, the ult has a really low energy cost. So you will be really spamming it. So extra elemental burst damage from the Noblesse set is very welcome. There is also that new energy recharge in Inazuma set. So maybe a 2-piece Blizzard Strayer set for the cryo damage and then a bit of extra energy recharge. Although Chongyun doesn't really need the energy recharge. His ult does have a low cost, but it is very simple. And it isn't really his main source of damage. So getting extra energy recharge is nice, but it is not needed. It's better to get some energy recharge through your artifact substats instead of like from maybe the set or a weapon, but still. So yeah, as for weapons then, let's move on to weapons. There are a lot of options you can go. The only thing of course to be careful is don't pick some sort of like physical damage bonus. So yeah, the unfortunate thing is that the Snow-Tombed Star Silver, which is that beautiful cryo-looking claymore, does not fit Chongyun. Yes, you are seeing me use it in the background footage, but that is because I have this weapon at a high level and again, it looks really nice on Chongyun, but unfortunately isn't for him. So what weapons then can you use? For 4 stars. The Black Cliff Slasher can work. Crit damage, so you balance your crit damage crit rate. So for a main DPS, the Black Cliff Slasher can work. The Favonius Greatsword isn't the worst idea for a support Chongyun to just throw down his field and then use his ult whenever he can, which he will because the Favonius Greatsword will give you a lot of energy through its energy recharge and its effect. If you're using the Favonius Greatsword on Chongyun, he's most likely a battery for another cryo character. You know, if you want to use the Favonius Greatsword, you know, you're not going to be using Chongyun as a main or sub DPS. He's going to be a good cryo enabler support that generates a lot of energy for all of his cryo buddies that are in the party. So yeah, Favonius Greatsword isn't a bad choice. The Lithic Blade, really good choice actually. Gives you attack percent, which is fine for every role really, but its effect, which gives you attack and crit rate based on the number of Liyue characters that you have in your party, well then, a main DPS or sub DPS Chongyun will really like this weapon. It gives you crit rate, so you can skip on the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set if you want, but yeah, really good. Prototype Archaic, very good choice, gives attack percent as its substat, really good base attack, and its effect is a crit every like 15 seconds, and it's in a bit of an AoE, so yeah, Prototype Archaic, really good for a main DPS, sub DPS Chongyun. What else? Rain Slasher, not for Chongyun at all actually. Serpent Spine isn't the worst. You can use it to balance your crit rate and crit damage if you're not using a 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set. But the thing is, you will need something like a shielder to protect the character from losing the Serpent Spine stacks. So yeah, be careful when using Serpent Spine. It is a good weapon. It's a very, very good weapon. One of the, basically the best weapon from the Battle Pass. But again, you're gonna need some sort of shielder, or you're gonna be really good at dodging to keep these stacks up. The bell is garbage, no, completely skip that. White Blind isn't for Chongyun. Sacrificial Greatsword, it really isn't for Chongyun. It has good energy recharge and good base attack, but you don't need the skill reset, because as we said, the skills uptime and the skills cooldown are almost the same, so the cooldown isn't long at all. And resetting the ability again doesn't help you, because the skill again has like a 2 seconds downtime, so why would you need to quickly reuse the skill? So yeah, Sacrificial Greatsword really isn't for him. And the Snow Tomb Star Silver, as we said, is a bummer. Again, really beautiful, but does not fit Chongyun. There's the new weapon that's gonna come with Inazuma, but unfortunately, it isn't the best for Chongyun. Gives energy recharge. It does increase elemental skill damage by a bit, but then again, it's also more of an energy generation focused weapon, so Chongyun doesn't really need that. He's more of a damage dealer guy. So yeah, as for 5 stars, Song of Broken Pines isn't for Chongyun. Skyward Pride is very much fine. Best base attack out of all the claymores except for the Broken Pines bullshit. 48 is the base attack. It gives energy recharge, and its effect is really good. Increases all damage by 8, so an all damage increase. And then when you use your burst or you do a normal charge attack, you'll do a vacuum blade that deals damage. And that's nice. It's really good, and yeah, can fit Chongyun really nice. Can like group up enemies so that he can hit them with his claymore. But yeah, and there's of course the Wolf's Greystone, which I would say is better than Skyward Pride. You know, it gives more attack. It gives so much attack actually that you just can't skip it. Yes, Skyward Pride has a good effect. Skyward Pride has good base attack, but it gives energy recharge, which again isn't really that useful on Chongyun. You are mostly using the skill and the attack, so why not use Wolf's Greystone and have a billion attack? So yeah, lots of choices, depending on what you have and how you want to use Chongyun, there is a lot. And once again, depending on what you have and can use and you want to throw to Chongyun. But yeah, that's it for Chongyun really. Really good character. I really like him. I really like his like cryo not application, but you know how much he can really allow you to, you know, apply cryo with your whole party. He's a nice team player, you can say. Can fit on many roles, and I like him. I definitely like him. So yeah, that's it. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we are delving into 5-star territory, and yeah, I will allow this as a bit of a surprise. You know, what is gonna be the first 5-star we're gonna take a look at, because it is the first 5-star I ever got. So yeah, I'll see you all then.